What's going on, you guys? My name is Zach Hartley, and in this video, we are going to interview Sue Ennis. She is the head of corporate development and investor relations at Hut8, which is a cryptocurrency mining company with some pretty major operations very close to me right here in Alberta. Now, if you're interested in Hut8 at the end of the interview, the ticker symbol is HUT. They trade on the TSX exchange. They also have a US ticker under the ticker symbol HUTMF, but the company is headquartered in Canada. The price is $6.76 as I make this video. The logo is right here on the bottom left, and the website is hut8mining.com. Now, the woman that we are going to interview today, her name is Sue Ennis. She's the head of investor relations and corporate development, and she has over 12 years of experience in financial services, asset management, and blockchain. And she was also one of the first hires at CoinSquare, which is a large cryptocurrency platform. So this is very exciting because Sue has a whole lot of experience, and she's specifically dedicated to helping investors understand the business model here. And that is what we are going to start with in our conversation: is what is the business model at Hut8? What is the current hash rate and production? How are they going to diversify their mining in the future? What are other institutional investors saying? And how do they compare to other mining companies? After that, I'm going to ask Sue, what is her largest challenge? What is the company's biggest roadblock or biggest challenge ahead? What are they going to do, and how does that Nvidia miner purchase work? And then what is their relationship like with Bitfury? I'm very excited to ask her that question. And lastly, we're going to talk about their future plans. What is ahead for these guys? What is next? And what can she share with us? So here you go. Here's the entire interview. Here's everything you need to know. Let's go. Hi, Sue. Thank you so much for spending some time here with my channel and agreeing to do an interview with me. I'm very excited to start talking about Hut8. How are you doing today?
It's been a wild couple weeks in the markets, but we're Bitcoin bulls and we're in it to win it. So I'm okay. I'm doing all right in spite of this craziness right now.
Excellent. I'm very glad to hear that. So I've made a quick video about Hut8 before, but can you just give us a quick description of what is your business model? What is the strategy at Hut8, and how do you guys make money?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are one of the oldest, largest, and most innovation-focused Bitcoin miners. Well, I should say digital asset miners in the Western Hemisphere. We've been around since late 2017. And why that matters is we have weathered and been through bear market Bitcoin cycles and obviously bull market Bitcoin cycles. And so we know how to manage our balance sheet and make sure that no matter what the Bitcoin cycle is doing, that we're capturing value on the upside, but also making sure that we're protecting shareholder value on the downside, and making sure our balance sheet is always in a state of health, and a solid income statement as well. We have one of the largest self-mined. We have the most self-mined Bitcoin on our balance sheet of any publicly traded company in the world. And we recently made an announcement to that we will begin mining alternative blockchains. We just did a partnership with Nvidia, and we're extremely excited about what that means, not only for our bottom line, not only for our Bitcoin inventory, but just in terms of the optionality that we now have, and ways we're going to continue to contribute to the blockchain ecosystem. So that's sort of Hut8 in a nutshell.
Very exciting. And my understanding about Hut8 that makes you guys a little bit different than a lot of the other companies is that you guys prefer to hold a lot of
Yeah.
the crypto assets that you are mining.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And if so, how do you fund your operations?
Yeah, big time. So we are one of these sort of OGs, the OGs of hodling, and we've been hodlers at heart for a very long time. If you believe in sort of the reserve asset narrative of Bitcoin, then which we have for a very long time, we think that keeping as much Bitcoin as possible on our balance sheet is absolutely the priority. So we look at ways that we can earn fiat on our current Bitcoin balance and earn fiat in other ways, again, without ever having to actually sell a coin. Um, so right now, for example, we've got 1,000. So we have 3,233 Bitcoin on our balance sheet as of March 24th. And 1,000 of those Bitcoin is currently earning 4% yield in a high interest savings account with Genesis. We also have about 1.6 million in revenue that we've been making, offering hosting services to a strategic partner. So those are sort of two of the many ways that we're looking at that. How do you earn fiat on that hodled BTC and basically make that Bitcoin work for you.
Awesome. I definitely want to explore that a little bit more, but I am located here in Calgary, Alberta, and my understanding is that you have a couple of facilities pretty close to me. Can you tell us about what the actual mining operations look like? And can you give us any type of insight into your hash rate and your hash rate compared to some of the competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're located in Medicine Hat, Alberta, and we love Alberta because it's freezing cold and it's windy. So that those are effectively very ideal temperatures for mining Bitcoin because the machines can run quite hot. Another thing that's really different about us is that our data centers are mobile and we own them. So we have 94 data centers across 2 sites in Medicine Hat and Drumheller. And that enables us to take advantage of my Bitcoin mining economics. Let's just say if we had to relocate elsewhere, then we won't do that. Alberta is home to us, but it also enables us to pivot some of our fleet and actually take advantage of some of the wind dynamics and economics as they come about. We recently signed a deal with Validus Power that we're very excited about. So that is a partnership that is going to enable us to, for the time being, go up to about 100 extra megawatts of power. So we have 109 megawatts of power currently up and running, which is one of the highest installed in the industry. And then an extra 100 megawatts coming on, hopefully by the end of Q4. We're going to start with an initial 35 megawatt tranche. So the one thing that's really exciting about this Validus Power agreement is that part of the fuel that will be generated from this agreement actually is going to be coming from excess flare gas from oil and gas producers. So oil and gas producers naturally in their flare gas stack have about a 30 to 50% inefficiency rate, which means that flare gas, no matter what they do, gets excreted into the atmosphere. It's obviously very highly pollutive. And the technology that Validus Power has is it's able to capture excess flare gas and turn it into digital energy. And in our case, we would be using that to mine Bitcoin. So it sort of hits that ESG bucket, but also again, it's a very cost-effective and creative way to take otherwise wasted energy and effectively digitize it, right? So we're really excited about that. With respect to a hash rate perspective, so we blew through an exahash early in January, and we are one of the only miners who, no matter what the market is doing, we've been refreshing our fleet about every 6 to 12 months. We try and refresh about 25% of our fleet. So last year during crypto winter, we were actually going shopping for new equipment. And a lot of the equipment that we bought last year for 20 to 30 bucks a terahash is currently going for about 120 bucks a terahash in the marketplace.
Wow.
So it's crazy. So we're in but this is what I'm saying about the significance of being one of the oldest miners in the space and thinking about balance sheet health is we think about, okay, do we want to be paying peak prices during bull markets and potentially sacrifice, returns, or what are we going to do if, margins get compressed? So we're always looking at creative ways to make sure that we're mining as and in the money and maximizing profitability. We were actually one of the only miners to come out of crypto winter profitable. We had one of the strongest balance sheets of Q4. So we blew through an exahash in early January. We're at about 1073 right now. And we've forecasted 1.3 for mid-July. But I should also say that what we have coming on in June is we did a huge purchase with Nvidia for GPU miners.
Mhm.
And those are on track to be installed and delivered for June, July of this year. And what that's going to mean is we're going to be mining alternative blockchains. We'll start with Ethereum and then get paid out in Bitcoin, which at current network rates means about an extra 2.5 Bitcoin a day. And if you convert the gigahash, so we announced 1600 gigahash, and if you convert that to petahash, it works out to about an extra 590-ish based on current network dynamics petahash per day. Extra 590 extra petahash coming online. And we're going to be posting the formula that speaks to that. So that's an extra 590 plus the 1.3 that we've announced that will be, forecast to come online, by Q2. which would take us up to about 1.8 exahash by the end of summer. Again, these are all based on current network dynamics. So we're incredibly excited about that because there has been an extraordinary shortage in semiconductors and obviously equipment right now. And we're seeing some pretty crazy dynamics in the equipment marketplace. But this was a great way for us to expand optionality. So the ability to mine other chains, potentially participate in the decentralized finance space, but also still get that additional Bitcoin payout and an installation for June, July of this year.
Yeah, that Nvidia deal sounds like it was definitely a massive one for you. And I watched one of your interviews explaining why you went with Nvidia compared to some of the China manufacturers. So I totally agree with your perspective there. Now, when you are mining the Ethereum, is it just mine Ethereum and basically convert it into Bitcoin and then hold that on the balance sheet? Or would you ever consider holding other altcoins as well?
Yeah, so we definitely are looking at all of the different ways that we can play this. Obviously, given some of the changes that are coming up with Ethereum 1559, for sure, potentially holding Ethereum is definitely an option that we're exploring because again, playing in that decentralized finance space, like the financial infrastructure of the future, is for sure an area that we think is worth exploring and that we see huge opportunity in. Um, so to answer your question in a long-winded way, yes, we are looking at sort of all the different ways that we can leverage this equipment. We're really excited about it.
Awesome. Now, I have a quick question just for some kind of foundational mining knowledge because I don't understand this point. But is there going to be a point where there is no more mining of Bitcoin? Is there the day that we run out of Bitcoin, or does it just get exponentially harder and harder? How does this work? And is there a timeline for possibly the next halving or anything like that?
Yeah, so it does get exponentially harder and harder as more miners come online. And what's very unique about mining economics right now is after the last halving, which happens every 4 years. So the last one was May 20th of 2020. I think it was something like 28% of miners were effectively unable to mine profitably after this most recent halving. So they effectively got kicked off the network. So it's this very sweet spot where you have Bitcoin at all-time highs, but the total Bitcoin network hash rate and difficulty level hasn't effectively caught up yet to that price point. Again, because there is a supply shortage of equipment, but it is starting to increase in difficulty. So I think it jumped about 6% last week. Um, so the but but prior to that, and even still right now, it's an incredibly profitable time to be mining. However, as more miners get equipment delivery and come online, those margins and those profitability margins will begin to come down, which again is why we're very cognizant about not paying peak prices for equipment that's technically 2 years old, when number one, there could be more equipment coming to the market very soon, more efficient and faster equipment. And number two, just again, that balance sheet health in the event that margins get squeezed again, or God forbid, we have another sell-off, which we don't think, but in the case, if that is to happen, you got to make sure that your balance sheet and your income statement are okay. So that's really how we manage our business.
Wonderful. Now, it sounds like it's quite a balancing act. Can you tell me a little bit about possibly the CFO or who's managing like those decisions on a daily basis?
Yeah, so it's definitely our CEO, Jamie Leverton.
Gotcha.
And she is, I describe her as she's the queen's gambit of data infrastructure and transformation mandates. So her whole wheelhouse is how do we go into distressed assets and turn it around and make them incredibly profitable. That's what she's been doing for the past 20 years for companies like IBM, BlackBerry, Cogeco. So she definitely drives these decisions. And we have a new CFO that we just brought on, who is a sort of a maverick of complex cross-border deal transactions. And our prior CFO, Jimmy, he is going to be staying on as an advisor with us. So it's definitely Jamie, our CFO, old and new, and also our head of technology, a gentleman by the name of Jason, who's a DeFi staking sort of yield master. It's I'd say they're sort of the main drivers of how are we going to do this efficiently and with our balance sheet and but also competitive advantage in mind.
Mhm. Now, when we start talking about the balance sheet and the income statement, have you had many kind of big institutional investors reach out? I know you guys have at least one big institution behind you, but what does that look like? What are the conversations you're having, or at least that you can share with us? And
Yeah.
is there any big red flags or anything holding them back?
So this is, I mean, obviously I'll share as much as I can.
Yeah,
Um, so I've been in the space since mid 2017. I was one of the initial hires to help run the wealth desk at CoinSquare, which is one of Canada's largest crypto exchanges. I think I was hire number 12 of that company. Um, and the calls I got then versus the unsolicited calls I'm getting now is extraordinary. The caliber of investor who's calling me then versus now. Um, Absolutely, I'm seeing a major uptick in institutions who have now finally gotten comfortable with Bitcoin, looking to, okay, so who are the people who are minting this Bitcoin and who has the most Bitcoin on their balance sheet, i.e., the mint, right? So we're definitely seeing an increase in institutions looking at, I'd say, the space as a whole, and definitely I'm definitely having more conversations with analysts than ever before who are just doing quite thorough due diligence of the crypto miner space. So that's incredibly exciting. And it does, I actually posted about this, it does sort of follow the trends in gold. So in the 2000s when gold spiked up, that was when you saw institutions then turn their attention to the gold miners. And usually, at least historically speaking, that institutional lens on the miners takes about 6 to 9 months after a price appreciation, because they often want to actually see, well, what has this actually done to their balance sheet and their income statements. So but yeah, I can definitely say that there's a lot more analysts than I've ever seen before doing due dill in this space, and it's really exciting.
very exciting. And it seems like everybody is just very focused on it. I know that crypto is definitely gaining a whole lot more attention than a lot of other things right now. Now, one of the questions that I have in some of the research that I did was with regards to Bitfury. Can you tell us just a little bit about the status of your relationship with Bitfury
Sure.
and how things are going with them?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Bitfury was actually one of the founding partners of Hut 8. And we initially had an exclusive equipment relationship with them. We severed that relationship last June just because we thought it was important for our shareholders that we had optionality in terms of who we could buy new equipment from. So we made purchases from MicroBT, and that was great. And look, Bitfury has been very vocal about the fact that they are in an active R&D session, and actively looking at building potentially a new cutting edge chip for mining. So we understand that sometimes you have to make business decisions in order to fund new operations and new ventures, and our relationship with them is great. I mean, there's like 50 people at that company. We still have a great relationship with Bitfury. I mean, they've publicly said that uh, we are still their Canadian preferred partner, and we look at it as if they are able to come to market with a new cutting edge chip that will be first in line, and so we're very excited about that.
Very, very exciting. Now, what is, in your perspective and from a strategy perspective for your company, what do you see as the largest challenge moving forward? What's the roadblock? Is it regulations, the next halving? What would keep the CEO up at night?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think for sure regulation and being proactive in terms of working with regulators is something that we're really cognizant of. So our head of legal, Tanya Woods, actually is a real legal trailblazer in the Canadian legal and blockchain space. She actually wrote some of the initial blockchain laws in Canada. So as we continue and plan some of our expansion and capacity goals for 2021, we want to make sure that we're on the right side of regulators, that we're working together proactively with them in the spirit of furthering the blockchain ecosystem. I also think another area that I would not call this a blocker, but another area we're really going to be focusing on is all this FUD about Bitcoin is bad for the environment. That's just simply factually incorrect. And again, deals like this Validus power agreement, we're really excited to sort of educate the market more about how Bitcoin is an incredible technology that can free stranded energy, and reduce, like I said with this Validus deal, excess flare gas potentially going into the atmosphere, and just that there's actually a ton of opportunity in the Bitcoin and ESG space. So those are some areas that, again, I wouldn't call roadblocks, but that we're very cognizant about making sure that we're doing thoughtful partnership with regulators and governments on.
Awesome. Now, as a new investor, or let's say somebody that's just evaluating different crypto mining companies, who do you think we should compare Hut 8 to, and what are the kind of key factors or key metrics that you think we should be looking at? Obviously, how much Bitcoin is on the balance sheet is one of them, but what do you look at after that?
Yeah. I would definitely say look at balance sheet strength. So after crypto winter, sort of what business decisions did they make, and how did that reflect itself on the balance sheet? I would certainly look at, if the information is publicly available, what prices are they paying in these bull markets, and what's sort of the strategy around that in terms of finding that ROI on the equipment purchase, and in some cases paid for at peak prices. I would definitely look at the strength of the management team. So how long have they been in the space? What's their technology background? Diversity of strength of the executive team I would certainly look at as well, and also jurisdiction. I would absolutely look at where are they located and why are they there. So we love Alberta, again, because we talked about windy and freezing, but also it is a traditionally oil and gas province, and there was a lot of hope that was put into that Keystone pipeline. Obviously that was canceled, but we find Alberta's very accommodating to the business we bring, and has been a real pleasure to work with, versus in other provinces. There is a bit of a contentious relationship with crypto miners and the government, because there is some feeling, for example, in Quebec, that the crypto miners might be stealing from the grid or impeding on some of the clean grid initiatives that the government has there. So again, not poo-pooing the government of Quebec. I'm just giving you an example of some dynamics that exist elsewhere that we don't have with the Alberta government. So we love Alberta.
Awesome. Now, I know you mentioned Ethereum as maybe being the possible next thing for the Nvidia equipment that you're buying. Is there any plans for other mining or other use for that equipment afterwards? Are we ever going to see Hut 8 doing anything with some of these smaller altcoins?
Look, I think for now, I mean, everything's on the table because we've got so much optionality with this technology we've bought from Nvidia. That's great. For now, for sure, it's going to be a focus on Ethereum, because we also, again, we like the applications that are being built upon Ethereum specifically, and some of the things that you can do in the yield farming and staking space, and we do believe in at least I believe personally that DeFi is the future of financial infrastructure. So I'd say for now, for sure, it's going to be playing in those ecosystems. But look, we're certainly open to seeing what happens.
Nice. And then last few questions here. You mentioned you were generating about a 4% yield on 1,000 Bitcoins. Are you doing anything with the other roughly 2,200 that you hold?
We will definitely let you guys know as soon as we can.
Okay,
But
totally
yes,
fair.
but making that Bitcoin work for us without having to sell a coin is a business strategic priority for us.
Awesome.
We'll
And
definitely
then,
let you.
pardon me?
We'll definitely let you guys know.
Okay, and then last question, kind of a personal question for you. If you were going to invest in one of these smaller coins or tokens, and it wasn't one of the big kind of top 5 or top 10, what would
Yeah.
you be investing in? Would you be holding the Dogecoin? Would you be holding SafeMoon?
No, I am not holding a dog on the blockchain. Absolutely not. No,
What
I
would it
feel
be?
very passionately about that. Look, I love some of the yield farming and DeFi protocols. So like Aave is a really interesting one. Sushi Swap. There's a really, yeah, I'd say sort of those protocols would be what I'd be looking at.
Excellent. Is there any plans for equipment after Nvidia? Is there anything announced for that?
There's nothing announced yet, and we will definitely announce it, you guys. But I can certainly tell you, 100 megawatts is a lot of power, and we're keeping our cards a little close to our chest right now. But we're not planning on that power just sitting idle because why would
Excellent.
we do that? So
Nice. Well, I'm sure there's something in the works there. Sue, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to share it with my channel. I sincerely appreciate it. And I wish you all the best of luck in the future. I'm very excited and very bullish on your company. So I'm excited to watch it move forward.
awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Okay,
Awesome.
bye.